Welcome to Anglatinas. I'm Rosie.
And I'm Izzy, and we're best friends from the UK.
We've spent these last few years living and travelling in Latin America, being immersed in new cultures, falling in and out of love, and learning to balance the old with the new.
Join us on this journey as we explore life living between continents, living the dream, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
We are
Anglatinas. We hope you enjoy the rides.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Anglatinas.
Welcome. How you doing, Rose?
I'm great.
Got a new look today.
Don't know what you're talking about. Yes, new look.
Show the masses.
Bold girl summer. Very fresh.
Love it.
Thank you very much.
This was one of your goals. Everyone, go back and if you haven't listened yet, go back and listen to our New Year episode, and you'll see Rose smashing out the goals. Shaved her head. What are you gonna do on Saturday?
Doing a half marathon on Saturday.
What else have you already accomplished?
Tennis. I started playing tennis, and today I got two. This guy at tennis told me to go to the charity shop to buy a tennis racket, and I didn't believe him. But today I found 2 tennis rackets for $5.
Smashing it.
So that's so good. Honestly, I'm going to do all my shopping in charity shops now. But yeah, I was just looking at my list, and I'm like, I need some new goals. I've obliterated that list.
Completed it.
and it's May.
What a great place to be in. Proud of you.
Yeah. The rest of this year, catch me chilling. I ain't doing anything. I'm done.
Yeah, it's going on.
One of the goals on my list is to kind of eat healthy and cook healthy. And as part of that, no, sorry, they're 2 separate goals. Another goal on there is to go veggie, in brackets, flexitarian, was one of my goals that I set myself for this year. And that is going to be the topic of today's episode.
Yeah.
Veggie life.
Is flexi the way forward?
That's your title. Boom, done it. And so yeah, we want to be talking about that and how traveling and our experiences being abroad, living abroad, have influenced that our diets, I guess.
Yeah.
Izzy's just disclosed to me that she's actually not veggie anymore. You've had a little bit of an up-down path, I feel like. You were vegan, then veggie, and now she's pescatarian. Next week you'll be on the
oh my god, as if that was like over a week. This is like over the entire course of my life, those changes.
Yeah, it took a little bit longer than that, but still you've tried a few different diets, I think it's fair to say.
I wouldn't call them I don't like to use the word diet. I don't think I've ever been on a diet.
No, I don't mean like being on a diet, but a vegan diet, a vegetarian diet.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, I dipped my toes in the vegan pool, but I don't know if it ever really counted, because when I would get drunk, I would like secretly binge eat pizza. So the secrets are out.
Secretly from who though?
From my housemates.
Okay.
And my ex-boyfriend at the time, who we decided to go vegan together at the same time after we watched Seaspiracy.
And so you would secretly binge eat a pizza after
I mean, it wasn't all the time, but it was just always like the dairy and cheese aspect was difficult for me from the get-go. But before that, previous to that, I think it's important to say that I've never been a big meat eater, right? So it was more of a transition to like cutting out dairy rather than anything else, because even though I wasn't 100% vegetarian before that, it wasn't really common for me to eat a lot of meat, and the meat that I did eat was mainly chicken.
Yeah.
Occasionally fish, but I would say throughout most of my life, if there was a different option, then I would opt for non-meat options.
Unless it was fried crispy beef from the Chinese.
Yeah. I think that I have a bit of a problem of compulsive eating, like I always have
Mhm.
had, but now that I can like name that. So like I take out my emotions a lot on
Mhm.
food. So like when I say like binge eat, I'd say it in a jestful way, but it is actually true. And like
Yeah.
the time that I throw up the crispy beef, Chinese crispy beef, that's because I literally like
Sorry.
shoveled myself full of Chinese crispy beef to the
Mm.
point of
We
throwing
did talk
up.
about this in another episode, though.
Did we? In a full circle thing, I think that like now I don't say I'm anything. Like I don't say
Yeah.
that I'm vegetarian or flexitarian or anything. I mean like
Yeah.
in a day-to-day context, like obviously if someone were to invite me around for dinner who doesn't know me, then I would say, oh, I don't eat meat.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
here a lot of times that would involve, you know, like a whole piece of a cow.
Yeah.
But like so it's important to rule that out. But like I don't want to be like, oh, I don't like to put labels on things, but I just mean like for me, psychologically, I think it's better to not have
Yeah.
restrictions because the more restrictions I'm put on myself, the more I want to. Do you know what I mean? Like I never eat chocolate. I can't eat chocolate. That's gonna make me want to like
Yeah.
binge eat a
Okay.
load of
Exactly.
chocolate rather than like,
Yeah.
no, I can eat chocolate any moment that I want. That gives me like a mentality of like,
Yeah.
oh,
The
when I
freedom
eat,
to
I'm
do
just gonna
it.
have a little piece and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the cheese and with other things as well.
This is irrelevant, but it's a little bit like being gay. Like I don't want to put labels on it, and I don't want to say that I'm fully lesbian, so that if I want to sleep with a guy, I can sleep with a guy. You know, like it doesn't limit me to that. It just
Isn't that
reminded me
more
of that.
about being bi?
But
Is that like being bi?
yeah, but then you don't like to say that you're bi for other reasons, but
Mm.
whatever. Anyway, yeah, and I think that's why I say okay, this word like now is a bit of a buzzword, a bit cringe saying flexitarian, but that's what I mean by it. Like I'm trying to reduce my meat intake, and I've significantly reduced how much meat I consume, but I don't want to be so strict. Exactly what you just said, Izzy. I don't want to be so strict to be like, no, I'm veggie or I'm vegan, so that on a Saturday when I go to the pub and I have a few pints, I can't have a burger afterwards. You know, I don't want to do that to myself. That's not sustainable. That's not healthy. Yes, in one way, but it's not healthy for your, yeah, from a psychological point of view of, oh, I'm going to tell myself I can't do that. Whereas you're still making a big difference by cutting it out 5 days a week or whatever, but not kind of, what do you call it? Like going cold turkey on it. It's only going to make you more tempted maybe to kind of cheat, isn't it? I don't know. But anyway, so you never ate much meat anyway. Then at university you kind of went vegan. Then now talk about how going to other countries and moving to Latin America changed, or what was your journey like, and how did that change your meat eating habits
Yeah.
or not?
So yeah, I think this journey and the way that my opinions have not necessarily changed, but like opened maybe is similar to a way a lot of my points of views have changed and adapted like after traveling and living abroad, because I just feel like, you know, this perspective shift that we talk about basically every episode, because there's something that's so interesting about these conversations is because I think, you know, you have a topic and we have our opinions, and obviously our life experience shape the way that we think about things, but the unique experience of like living a chunk of your life in somewhere completely different where you're from just gives like a perspective shift to everything basically.
Yeah.
And I've commented on this before, but like I just think that my views on everything, like before I came away, were a lot more like militant and a lot more like
Yeah.
closed in terms of like, oh, this is right, this is wrong, black and white kind of thing. And that's just not the way that the world works, do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
obviously the more you travel, the more places you go, the more you can really like internalize that, because there's so many contradictions, there's so many differences. So when I came and started like backpacking more long term, I was vegan and that just became like really difficult, basically impossible. And I know that there's going to be so many vegans, like we all know the common discourses, so like, oh well, you could do this, and it's a lot more difficult. And I wasn't like on a luxury trip. I was backpacking on a budget and going to some very what's the word, like remote places. So that's one thing, like literally there's not being other options. Like in South America, in Latin America, normally the substitute for meat involves either cheese or eggs.
Cheese.
And so you could say, oh, you could have just lived off fruit, or you could have, like, obviously I think we can all agree that's not realistic.
Viable option. Yeah.
And beyond the like convenience of the personal convenience of it, for me, I just think that the more places that you go to and the remote options, and even just being in contact with people who don't have food as a guarantee, gives you the perspective that, like, I'll just take whatever I can get. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine going somewhere where people literally they're just grateful for anything that they can eat, and you being like, oh, I don't eat. Like, yes, obviously,
how privileged.
we have the education and the knowledge to understand that's better for all of us, like collectively as a planet, but that is ignoring like some very specific needs of some people in some places. And that doesn't mean that I can use that reason as a reason to like have barbecue every day and like but it just means that you can be more flexible in the way that you think about that, and that in the context of like being on the move and being in those different places, even more so, because you just don't have, like, we went to some remote regions in like the northeast of Brazil and stuff, and here in Brazil, like lunchtime, it's common to have like buffet stuff type like kilo restaurants, and it would be like really simple restaurants that had like rice, beans, meat, salad. And so okay, that's vegan. But then like in other places, the beans already came with like bacon in it or with sausage in it, so then you're gonna like have to like pick it out. And obviously some people would say like, oh, you wouldn't eat that because you got to eat something, so
well, another point about that, which is something that I wanted to say about this today, is that also you're cheating yourself, or you're missing out on a lot of experience. This is what I think. Okay, ethics or whatever aside, we travel, or we have traveled to enjoy ourselves and to experience culture, right? And for me, food is an enormous part of a country's culture, of a community's culture, or whatever. And so if you travel to remote places or different areas of Brazil or any whatever countries, you're potentially missing out on a huge cultural experience if you say, no, I don't eat meat. So like the whole barbecue culture that there are in lots of countries. Oh, okay, so I'm not going to have that. Okay, there might be like vegetarian alternatives, but like for example, Mexico is a huge meat consuming country. And what do they eat in Mexico? They eat tacos. Well, like, it's all meat. I'm not going to say, this is my opinion, people can disagree with this, but I'm not going to miss out on that for the sake of, no, I'm vegetarian. That's what I mean when I'm flexing. I'm going to be like, well, if it means getting involved in this very, very special kind of important cultural thing that they've eaten for however many years, and it's a really important thing in their country, of course I want to try that. Do you know what I mean? Of course I want to get involved in that. Load me up, load my tacos up, babe. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to eat quesadillas for 3 months straight. No, I want what the people eat. You know what I mean? So I think there's that as well on top of that.
I agree. I think like when I traveled Central America, I wasn't anything. It was just, living my life. Didn't this is what I mean. It's like, I think it's more complicated for me because I always have had this weird relationship with meat where I like don't really eat it, but like when we were in,
Yeah.
I remember eating like a lot of nice fish and stuff, like on the Caribbean coast of like Central America, and chicken and stuff like that, which like I had some of the tastiest food that I've ever had. And that this, like the Central America backpacking trip, I wasn't I was still kind of trying to be vegan, so that's what I was saying, like I was eating eggs sometimes, like if that was the only option, like at breakfast and stuff like that, but like I was still trying to be vegan, and I did miss out on some experiences, and I started to like open exceptions for that, because sometimes like in Colombia, for example, when I was living there, I would go around to some of my students' houses and stuff like that. Family would invite me around to eat, and a lot of times as well in South America, when you tell someone you don't eat meat, they assume that it's just red meat. They don't really consider
Yeah.
like chicken and fish to be meat,
Bueno,
like
¿quieres
just
pollo?
uh, because
Yeah,
they
yeah,
use
yeah.
like the word meat for like red
Yeah.
meat. And so one time, for example, I'd gone around for lunch, and I'd said that I didn't eat meat, but like my students knew that I didn't eat meat, and she'd told her mum, but then she'd done like fried chicken and lentils and stuff, which are like expensive ingredients for that family in Colombia. Do you know what I mean? So I'm gonna say, oh, I can't eat this. Of course not. Like
Yeah, no.
so there have been occasions where people like haven't known, and I've eaten things that I wouldn't normally eat, because you know, refusing food in a place where people don't have food as a guarantee is a really complicated thing. Like
Yeah.
we have important environmental issues that we need to look at as a collective, but we can't like ignore these complex like socioeconomic
Social,
issues
yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
Because like choosing to be vegan in the context of like living in the UK is a really privileged thing. And you know, a lot of people here are vegan not out of choice, because the food that they can afford is rice and
Yeah.
beans, and they don't necessarily get like all of the nutrients that they need. So I think it's a really complicated topic, like way more
Yeah.
complicated than I ever grasped really beforehand. But having said that, my relationship with meat, like from my whole life, is that like I wouldn't be able to eat Brazilian barbecue, for example. Like I wouldn't be able to put like
No.
a piece of meat like that in my mouth. So like it's it's like confusing for me in
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
aspect, because I say like, oh, you shouldn't refuse food and stuff, but there are some things that just literally from since childhood, like I just
But that's taste, isn't it? And that's no, I don't like that. Like there was, yeah, you know, it's not like I like it, but I'm choosing to deny myself it, and therefore deny blah 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 blah. That's different to no, I can't actually stomach that. Yeah. It's on the other hand, like it's weird, or something that I found. It's weird that the decision not to eat meat ties in with so many other environmental things. So it's yeah, it's so complex. And obviously we're not trying to like put the world to rights or whatever, you know, we're not preachers or anything, but the decision not to eat meat ties in with other environmental issues. Like they go hand in hand and you don't even notice. For example, it's cheaper, right? It's cheaper not to eat meat. So that's a benefit of it. If you are a meat
it
eating
can be
person and you
cheaper.
decide, yeah, it can be cheaper. Um, but also other things like, for example, what the meat comes usually packaged in. This is something that really gets me. Like you avoid so much other pollution and other things if you don't eat meat. Like if you just go to the supermarket and pick up a load of fruit and vegetables or whatever.
Just as a society in general, we're so like disconnected from everything. So like when you go, even more so in England, I think, so like you go to the supermarket and literally just everything's available. So even if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, you have like literally a whole array of vegetables and fruits available to you all year round, and you don't necessarily know like where they came from, how they got there. So I think that like there's
You're
a
talking about the UK, sorry.
everywhere, but specifically in the
I-
UK, in terms of like, we talked about this in the stereotypes episode, we don't have like a richness to what we can grow in the UK. So a lot of fruits and vegetables are imported, and that's not necessarily good. Well, it's definitely not good for the environment either. Like,
we can get avocados all year round in this country. That's
yeah, and
bad news,
it's
isn't
not
it?
normal. So there's like this disconnection from what we consume and the impact that it has. And we could talk. I'm not trying to make the argument for like, oh well, being vegetarian is bad too. No, I'm making the argument for the lack of connection that we have to how we get our food and where our food comes from. So it's like, obviously it's going down the route of environment, but that is a big reason why people stop eating meat, isn't it? So like this disconnection, I feel like, is a big problem with that, because people like to use the argument for eating meat in terms of like, humans have always eaten meat. That's what our ancestors ate.
Scale.
Never on this scale, and never in this like industrial production. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, disgusting.
And people don't account for the fact that like, the majority of our diet was fruits and plants, but that's just not like what the archaeologists could find, because it just decomposed.
It rots away. We should have got Josh on for this episode. We'd have had a right laugh, wouldn't we? He'd have been in his element talking about all this stuff.
So I think it's complex. I think we have to look after ourselves, have to look after our physical health, and also our mental health, but without using that as like an excuse to just be like, oh, I can eat whatever I want. Because I don't believe that to be true. I still think we have a responsibility to do what we can. So what about you, Rose?
Me. Okay. Well, people ask me.
You said that I've had like all these changes and stuff, but I think for you the change is probably more radical, just from the fact that we've talked about a lot, the fact that I already didn't eat that much meat before all of this.
You used to kind of not take the mick, but you used to kind of jibe at me, didn't you, about how much of a meat eater I was, like having a steak and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think your transformation has been more radical than mine.
Okay. Do
you think?
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah. So I still eat meat, and I still enjoy eating meat on the odd occasion, but why have I made this decision to try to go veggie, or to significantly reduce? People ask me all the time. The main reason is my health. Like it was when I was volunteering in Uruguay, really all of this started. A lot of like things that have changed, and all these radical things that have happened to my life, really a lot of them came to me this really formative time that I spent in Uruguay volunteering on these different things, and like, wow, really, really realized a lot of things about the world that were just so completely different to what I thought previously. And like you said, opened me up. Like, I also looked at things in a very rigid, this is this, and this is that is that, right? Before, I was so close-minded about a lot of things, and that period of my life really like broke a lot of that down. I worked in like, the first one was a project in a it was a vegetarian restaurant, so that was my first exposure, and then it just went from there. I just seemed to be like around people, and I think what it was, in Uruguay, meat is very expensive. It's a very expensive country anyway compared to other ones in South America, and I think in Uruguay meat is very expensive, and so a lot of people, even though they do consume a lot of meat, normally on a day-to-day, like from Monday to Friday, they actually don't eat, cook and eat a lot of meat. So I think it was because of that. But it's opened my eyes to so many different types of food, and so many different vegetables and pulses and beans and like ingredients of food, that I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. And also, I was so lucky to live with people who were so good at cooking. Like, this woman used to bake her own bread. Maybe I've told you this, I think it's sourdough in English, but it's pan de masa madre, which I think translates as sourdough bread. But honestly, it was the most delicious, and they're very like fresh. I think one thing as well is about the freshness of the food.
Yeah.
Like compared to what I was brought up on. throwing no shade on my childhood diet, but like that everything was made fresh.
Yeah.
The bread was baked fresh from scratch. It wasn't shop bought fucking sliced Hovis bread. You know what I mean? It was what do you call it? The yeast was left overnight to grow. Like, and I was learning all of these things about amazing food. But honestly, this bread, I'll never forget it. And one day I want to go back. And then it carried on as I moved to Brazil, and there were choices. Well, why was I not eating meat then? Well, yeah, the first thing is that my health significantly improved, both physical and mental. I was going to say this earlier when you mentioned mental health. I felt so like I can't put it into words, but I felt so kind of good that I wasn't eating animals. I don't know if it was because I wasn't eating animals or if it was because of other things, but I felt so good, like, and so healthy mentally, you know, like I felt so alive and connected to things, and so like grateful, and oh, I'm such a good citizen. Like, I don't know if it's that, but I did feel really good. And physically, well, you know, Izzy, like I was like at my slimmest, and I'm not saying that slim equals healthy, but for me, you know, I noticed I lost a lot of like weight that I was carrying, I'd always carried. And there was only one real change that I'd made to my life, and that was not eating meat. So I'm putting it down to that. It's physical health, mental health, cost as well. Me and my ex-girlfriend didn't buy meat. We didn't have any money to buy meat, so we were not cooking it at home. Like everything, like the cleanliness of it, you know. Now when I cook meat, or if I'm at my parents and they cook meat, like it's just so oily and greasy, and I don't know, I just feel like it's just changed my
Yeah,
perspective
it's
on that. And
gross.
yeah, and it is like just greasy and horrible. um So yeah, all of those things. And we've all watched Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy. And do you know, have you seen a film, Izzy, called Okjar?
Yeah. The animal that
Oh,
looks like Fledgy.
no, it's a big massive pig.
Yeah. It moves
Okay.
around in the same way as Fledgy.
Okay. Okay. Well, if anybody hasn't
Ba-dum,
seen that film,
ba-dum.
and and they're, you know, kind of teeter-totter between vegetarianism or whatever, then watch that film, and it absolutely knocked me for six. Like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, those are the reasons, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm at now. So I'm very happy to be like that. Like, I love experimenting with new foods. You know, I love having a fridge full of vegetables, and I love opening. I'm like, what can I have for a snack? Can I just get like a stick of celery or a mushroom? I love eating
Hmm.
raw mushrooms now. You know. Okay, obviously I go to the biscuit tin as well, but okay, shall we move on to the quick fire round of questions?
Yes.
I feel like we need a new jingle, Izzy, for that. It's not. Do you not? No, okay, sorry, don't. No. Please leave comments below if you think we need a new quick fire round of questions jingle. Okay, would you like to go first with your quick fire round, or shall I start?
You can start.
All right then. So, Izzy, what is one Brazilian meat dish that you wish you could eat, or you could eat, but that you would like to
Yeah.
eat?
Yeah. There's a dish called carne de panela, which translates
Mm-hmm.
as actually just
Vanilla
translates
meat.
as pan meat. But
Okay.
it's like a slow cooked
Sounds delicious.
it's like a slow cooked meat that's like pulled.
Mm,
And
okay.
that's like a way that that's something that gets me,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
slow cooked meat I can handle, because the thing about meat that I don't like is the texture. So
Texture.
carne panela is it's like a little bit, it's
Is it
well
a beef?
seasoned. It's, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So that one probably.
Very good. Pan meat. I thought you were going to say feijoada, which brings me on to, again, it's quick fire, but sorry. Remember when I was leaving Brazil to go to Mexico and I hadn't tried it? And I tried it. This is about like the cultural experience of it. I was like, I cannot leave this country without fucking trying feijoada. So then I had it in the probably not the best example of it at all, but I had it in the service station on the way to the airport. It was really good, actually. It was still good. For
No.
context, it's like meaty bean stew.
Yeah. I don't wish I could eat feijoada because feijoada has like pig's feet and like
Otters.
all of the parts of the animal. So I'm happy just with my normal beans. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in relation to diet and
Uh,
sorry, I just left that open. I've been lived
yeah.
abroad.
The biggest lesson I've learned in relation to diet. I would just say like the variety. The variety is the spice of life. That that it doesn't have to include meat doesn't have to be the main element of the dish, you know, or all of the other ingredients that I have tried and learned to use and cook and whatever that I would never have even considered, like lentils. Last night I had lentil soup. I
Yeah,
would never have picked that up previously. So I don't think it's one particular lesson, but just a little bit like about the variety.
I really agree with everything that you said about your time in Uruguay. It was really
Yeah.
the peak of your enlightenment. But I would also like to say that I feel like I've played a big part in your
Yeah.
diet
That
transformation.
we're gonna sound like a broken record because in every episode I'm like, it's all thanks to Izzy. Izzy's the
No,
reason
we've
I'm
not
this.
talked
Izzy's
about
the
this
reason I'm this.
before.
Yeah, we have.
What
The
else have you
ESL
said?
teachers. I was taught
Oh,
I taught English online because of
mm,
you.
mm.
I started experimenting with other food. No, that's not true. You were there
No, but I mean
towards the end
before
of
as
it.
well.
Yeah.
What? I've
Yeah,
always
for sure.
been here. I've always been giving you different shit. And at the beginning I used to pick out Rose's beans, kidney
Oh,
beans.
fuck's
How
sake.
much did it got garnish? No, but I
Never
mean
gonna
I
get
feel like I've
yeah.
always presented you to
Yeah.
different foods, but you are
Yeah.
open to it after that experience.
Yeah. No, you're right. You are right, Izzy. And the time when you cooked me, I think it was I don't know what it was. I
For me.
can't remember, sweet potato curry or something in your house in Conseil Saint-Martin. That was formative, you know, that sticks in my mind. That is a key memory. So
Love
yeah,
it.
right. Whatever. You can have that one.
Thank you.
It's all down to Izzy.
Go on.
What do you think is the biggest benefit to being a vegetarian or to a veggie diet?
Health. Just feeling good, being light, healthy
Yeah.
poos.
Okay. The
No, but
stool.
yeah, digestion in general, genuinely.
Good.
Would you be a vegan?
No. That's as quick fire as you'll get. No.
Go on then.
Um would you know what I'm like is I never want to say never. So would I can't say no categorically, but I don't think I would like to be. But then again, I would probably have said 5 years ago and said I wouldn't like to be in this position that I am right now. So life's a funny old thing. But
Hmm.
no, I don't want to do the whole I love cheese, but I really do love cheese. You know, I've
Mm-hmm.
got feta, halloumi, cheddar in the fridge. Like it's
Yeah.
do you think it's harder to be vegetarian in the UK or in Brazil?
I know this is quick fire, but I think there's two sides to it. So I would say in general, it's easier in the UK because there's more options, like in restaurants and like in general, it's easier, like more accepted, more well known. However, here, at least where I live, I have a wider access to more different types of fruits and vegetables, and so I would prefer to be vegetarian here,
Yeah,
but
okay.
you know, like in the country in general and in restaurants and stuff, it's harder.
Yeah, okay. Okay, do you have another one?
Is flexi the way forward?
Absolutely. Yeah, I passionately agree with that one. Yeah, it is. There's that George Orwell quote, isn't there? And I need to find it because I kind of want to get it tattooed, but it's like the power in the people and the power in the few actions of many rather than many actions of a few.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
if
that.
we all just meet on a weekend or whatever. Oh God, imagine that. Imagine the difference that would make.
Yeah.
but still we're so far behind in this country. Like some of the kids that I teach, Izzy, like they can't understand why you wouldn't eat meat every day. Why you can't eat like processed sausage roll? What do you mean? Like,
yeah,
it is. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a long way to go.
Yeah, and here as well. I think it is in most places. That's what I mean. I think you get a false sense of things from the bubble that you live in, don't you? So
therefore, what is the meat product that you miss the most? Sorry, it's a really boring question that everyone asks every vegetarian ever. But what do you miss? Nugs, doner kebab, beef burger.
No, I don't think I miss anything now.
Well, what did you miss originally? Battered sausage from the chippy?
No.
Savoy? Steak and kidney pie?
No, I didn't eat these things, Rosie.
Beef with black bean green pepper?
No. Maybe the crispy beef.
Really? Okay.
Oh, and prawn toast.
Okay. So yours is a Chinese, your meat experience is a Chinese
I did
one.
used to eat a lot of fried chicken when I was drunk as well. So maybe at the beginning it was that, but I can't really remember feeling like, oh, I really want to eat fried chicken and I can't.
Yeah.
But I did used to love a spicy chicken and chips after a night out.
Was that the name of that place? Spicy. What was the name of that takeaway?
I
Spicy
can't
chicken.
remember.
I think it is spicy chicken,
Maybe.
isn't it? Or
Spicy chick.
chick or something. Yeah.
Spicy chick.
On What's It Road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but yeah, like I think we talked about this in the stereotype episode as well. I think the longer that you go without specific things, like the less that you even really think about them as an option.
Defo. Yeah. So being out of the country as well as being vegetarian, eventually you stop missing those things or missing those things less.
Yeah, but again, it was more the cheese thing, because obviously I'd gone that way of like giving that up and then went completely
rogue.
Yeah, ate a lot of cheese. So I think that's my bugbear. But again, I think compared to a lot of people, nowadays my focus is just on health. Like I just want to thrive, and want to feel my best. And so also consuming a lot of cheese doesn't make me feel my best. So it is more of like an every now and then thing. But I feel like I am thriving.
Good. I feel like you are too, Izzy. I feel like we both are. Absolutely thriving. Okay. We hope you've enjoyed listening to us chatting about vegetarianism and all of the and all of its implications. If you have comments, what do you think? Do you completely disagree with the shit that we've been saying in this episode? Feel free to let us know. We are open to criticism, aren't we, Izzy? Love it.
Definitely. We're ready to learn. We're open books.
Yeah, that's what this whole experience is all about. Please like and subscribe. Share this podcast with your friends. Share this episode with your meat-eating or vegetarian friends and tell them that it's an interesting conversation. Like and subscribe, please.
You've been listening to
Anglatinas.
Bye.
Thank you.